Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream. Tonight is question time, which means you get to ask any question you like to me, and we'll try and answer as many as we can live. If this is your first time here, just all you have to do is put your question into chat and I'll try and catch as many as I can within the time we spend together here tonight. Might have seen something new? Pretty dope, right? My wife got it made for my birthday present. Early birthday present. My birthday is in October, but good at it. Bless her. Looks really good. Hello everyone in chat. I can see we've got some familiar faces. Hang on, let me just open it on the big screen because I can... Hold on, hold on. With me. I can see we've got Angus, hello, Novice Dreams, Jimmy Jim, Vlad, hello. Oh. Cool. Yeah, hello. Yes, we got gamers, Resgui. Hello, how you all doing? Stefan. Yeah, so a little few things. The JRPG series has started over on Patreon and YouTube members now. Episode 1 is out. This one will be working slightly differently for patrons and YouTube members in the sense that it's not going to be weekly release. I'm going to try and do it quicker than that. The whole series has been recorded already. It's just a matter of editing it all together now and putting intro and outro onto it and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and pump them out as quick as possible. My aim is to have the whole series given to you before Christmas, and it's about 40 odd episodes. So definitely before Christmas, maybe even before December. We'll see how we do. But that is on its way there. And everyone else on YouTube who are not a Patreon or YouTube member, the first episode of that will be starting towards the end of October. That will be a weekly release over on here. And speaking of October, October is our anniversary of the channel. It's the 4th anniversary of the channel. And if you are a long-time member, you may remember that we do something special each year for the anniversary. And this year is no different. We're going to do a few things. Number one thing we're going to be doing is a special live stream series over a few days of doing Asset Flip live. And speaking of Asset Flip, this month's Asset Flip is hopefully coming out tomorrow. I just need to edit the footage. But yeah, I've taken this month's assets and made something in about 6 hours worth of work, 5-6 hours work. It was a bit harder this month. This month's been kind of crazy. My son broke his arm, and Epic released the pack like not late, but it was the way it works. It was a week later than normal. So it's a hard going, and also I've recorded all the JRPG stuff. So, but yes, we'll be getting that tomorrow, hopefully. But yes, let's just jump into the show here. If you don't know how it works, if you're a Patreon member, you get access to a question time queue jump over on our Discord channel. And on the Discord channel, you can ask your questions ahead of time, and we'll field those questions at the start of each show. And it allows you the chance to ask a question without necessarily being on here live. So let's see how we're doing here. A bit. Okay, so we've only got one question ready to answer, and that's from Scaly. We have a team for making games. We'll start working on soon, but we do not know exactly how source control is working. My question is that what would happen if my teammate changed the blueprint that I also worked on? By the way, which source control is good for the teamworks? Okay, so source control, if you don't know what it is a way of maintaining and organizing a project so you can have versions and what we call branches of those versions, so you can edit and work together on a project as part of a team. Now, because Unreal is, and all other software like Unreal, it's broken into individual files, like all these assets here in the content browser files. You'll be able to edit one of them and upload it to your source control. And when you want to have two people working on the same file at the same time, that's when it gets trickier, because then what you do is make branches. So imagine you have the main file here. Usually you should make a branch That'll be like a copy of it, and that copy is your copy that you. And then people can download the branch one and test it, make sure it looks okay, and then merge those branches together if need be. As for what service you want to use, there is Git and Perforce, probably the two main ones. They do cost. Okay, Git, there is a free version, but you are limited in space, and it has to be public. If you want it to be private and have much more larger space, then you need to pay for it. So there is that to consider. There are loads of tutorials on how to set it up with Unreal. I recommend just googling it and you'll find it. Okay. Okay, so I've lost the chat. Where did I put chat? There we go. Okay. People are liking the sign. That's good. I told the wife. She'll be very happy to hear that. Right, let's find a question. Sakura Buddha. Evening, Ryan. Nice sign. Thank you. Is it possible to give players control over a sequencer timeline? Kind of, yeah. So when you're making a sequencer, so we'll make a quick sequence here. So, yeah, sure, why not? And I'll just make a quick little camera thing. Transform here. Okay, so now we've got this sequence going on. The thing we have to make sure we are doing is that you need a reference to the player that happens. So putting it onto the level blueprint is no real good. So you need a way to pass it over to the player controller, probably. There's quite a few ways you could do this. One such way would be something like this, where you get a player controller, and in here you want a reference variable for a level sequence. So we're going to go into variables, level sequence. And the type for this will be a level sequence actor would be fine, I think. So we'll just do that and hit compile and save. And for now I won't do nothing else on there. Now if I make if you are doing like a level sequence in as part of the level like this, in your level blueprint, you want to get a reference to it. And let's say I'm begin play here. You hello, get the player controller and pass to your particular one, which is my new blueprint. And then as new blueprint here, you can then set level sequence, and that should allow it to take place in there. Nope. Okay, what's this one? Cine camera actor object reference level sequence actor. Right. Okay. Oh wait, no, that ain't right. Cine camera, that ain't right. Hang on. Oh yeah, got to click on this one. Whoops. Okay. So make sure you click on the clapboard. There we go. There we go. That makes more sense. So now your player controller has a reference to that level blueprint. And if when you like trigger a new one to play, like your player reaches a certain point, you want a cutscene to play, and you want that level sequence to play, but you want the player then to be able to skip it, for example, what I assume you're trying to do. You then on here on player controller, we'll just do I'll do the R key. Don't know why R. Why not? We can get the level sequence here. And we can get you have to get the sequence player first. So get sequence player. And then from there, check if it's playing. You don't want to skip anything that's not playing. And then plug that in. And then if that's true, that same sequence player, you can tell it to stop. So that should be it. Let me just set up my game mode to use that controller. Controller. Blueprint. File. Close that. And I'm going to tell this one to autoplay as well at the start of the game. So it'll start playing at the very start of the thing. So when I push play, if I hit R, it should skip it. There you go. Skipped it. Do it again. Play. R. There you go. So I'm able to skip the cutscene. Hopefully that helps you out. And it gives you some ideas what else you can do with that. Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed the first episode of JRPG, Arian Gaming. It's been one of my favourite series to make, and I'm really tempted to sit down and just make a JRPG, like my own JRPG game. That's kind of derivative, but yeah, it was good fun. So it's about 40 episodes long, and I'm already compiling a list of of doing an extension to it. So there are a couple of things on there that people have requested that I want to put in now. Summoning, limit breaks, and positional changes, so you can put people in front, behind, you can change formations. So that's something I may try and get to at some point. Probably not for a while, because I've got other stuff to work on. Other new surprising series to come out over the next month too. My aim is to either work on a whole series each month, be it big or small. JRPG is a big one, but the next one isn't as big, but that would be October's one. ASMR attack, love the sign too, good to hear. Oh, again, I'll pass the messages on to my wife. Hey Ryan, how do you do a death screen like in the Joy of Creation, where an enemy gets near you and the camera changes to an animation of the enemy punching the screen? I haven't seen that game or that at all. But is it what, first person or something? An enemy gets near you and the camera changes to an animation of the enemy punching the screen. Well, I mean, one thing is you could just make a level sequence and you can just make it spawn the level sequence in. Yeah, that's it. When you are making a sequence, you can also make the cameras relative. So at the moment, these positions here are absolute, so they are given the positions in accordance to the world coordinates. But you can actually make these also local ones based upon the actor coordinates or the player's position. And the way you do that, if I can remember, you right click on transform. You can. Where it was on here. P4. No. Poo. What was it? In here somewhere. Where was this? Oh, there you go. Add section. So you can add a relative section. And that makes it add a relative transformation based upon its current position that you have on this bit. Anyway, that's that. Next. Gamer ILSTS forever. Hi Ryan, how is the best and easy way to do a flying and glide character like a bird? Four-legged, maybe not explain it now, but on a future video. Sure. So the easiest thing to do is in the character movement component, sorry, there is a flying mode. So you can just enable that on and you can then fly. I've done stuff before, but with dragons for someone else. But yeah, maybe for a future video we could do that. Vlad, how would I make a portal mirror to another world so you can see the other world through and then walk through to it? That is a tricky one. Yeah. If you don't like maths, don't do this because it's a lot of work in respect to maths. Essentially, the way I've seen it done is you have a render, scene capture render as a texture on the portal, but the camera that is recording to it changes its position and rotation and perspective as you walk around in relation to it. It's something I attempted quite a few years ago, and maybe it's something I would like to go back to and try and do. As I've been playing Psychonauts 2, and I do a very good job of the portals there. It'd be interesting to try have a crack at it again. Yeah, it is not pretty. Takes a lot of work, and I don't have time for this. But the general concept is that you have a render capture target or as a picture. As you walk through it, it then teleports you over to that one there. The tricky part though is when your body is half and half through the texture. That I'm not too sure about how to do. That one requires a bit more. Otherwise, when you walk through it, just teleports you straight away to it. Just cuts through that position. Yeah, something to think about. Greg Cott Gaming. I'm trying to add a tag to an actor on an event. Having difficulty finding the right blueprint node to add the tag. How would you approach that? Also, sorry here about your boy's arm. Oh, his arm's okay. He's in a cast. He's getting better. He's fine with it. But thank you for that. So, tags. The reason why you're probably getting confused by it is because there are actually 2 tag systems in Unreal. So, I'll show you both. So, the first one is the easier one. On actors, if you just search for tag, you have these tags here. Oh, so sorry. I'm going to yawn a lot, I can guarantee it. So, we'll quote one example. These are just tags you can just add to any old thing. And what you can do here is, if you search for tag, you will see this, get tags. And you'll find that from any actor, and you can just search and see, like, it's like an array. So, does it contain item? You can search for a particular type of tag, and so on and so forth. The other type of tag are what are called gameplay tags. Like all these things. And these are a bit more robust. So to set them up, you go to your project settings. And search for gameplay tags up here. Oh, funny. Okay, so in here, it's not the most intuitive system, but essentially you've got these tags here. You can add a new gameplay tag. You can also do it by a source. So if you've got like an Excel CSV you want to use, you can use that. Nonetheless, this tag here. So you put a name in, and these use dot addresses. So if you want to do like a team dot red, and do add new tag, and you'll see here you got team and then red. Oh, read. That's wrong. Hang on. Rename. There you go. So you have like categories you can put in. You can hierarchy them up as much as you like. So on team, I can add another one to it, and it fills it in for me. Blue, yellow, green, and so on and so forth. You put comments on each one if you wish. Very useful if you've got like multiple people working on your project. Restart later. So you can use these for this, okay, and you can put as many as you'd like in it. So when you have these, you do need to set them up on your actors, and you do that via variables. So you need a tag container. No, not necessarily. So do tag here. Search for gameplay tag. So you got gameplay tag and gameplay tag container. Gameplay tag is just one of our tags. So I can search for it. I can tick, okay, you're on team blue. Okay, and he's on that tag now. And so on and so forth. If I want a tag container, I change this to a gameplay tag container. That, and the thing that's different with a container is you would have multiple tags inside of it, and you can do more comparisons with it. So, for example, if I drag this out, you can see in here I can do various things like this. I can check if it has any tag, has a gameplay tag, all this sort of thing. Whereas this one, remember rightly, has less options. Yeah, has less options. So you can see what kind of things it can do, but the more important thing is that you can do queries with these ones. So queries look like no, where is it? You can do queries, and you can also, like, yeah, cause you can combine them. Break it as well, and it gets you the various gameplay tags out of it, and so on and so forth. You can, yeah, explore it yourself, but the tag queries as well. These are like saying if this and this are the same, do X, Y, Z, blah blah blah. So you can just make a expression for your query and set that up, and you can then call this query on various things. So if you need to find a matching tag of a certain type or in relation to your own type, you can set up things like that. Yeah, it's quite deep, this one, but the gameplay tag system is meant to be that deep. But if you want cheap and cheerful, just a tag array will do just fine. And yeah, you'll see, like, if you just search for tag here, oh I can't type. You'll see in here, these tags here are the gameplay tags. I was hoping to add the tag while the game is running. That's where gameplay tags come in. So you can call the add gameplay tag during gameplay and add a tag to it. So if someone changes side or changes hostility, you can change the gameplay tag mid-game. Like that. Like you usually have like this one, you say you need a tag container and you're telling it what tag you want it to add. Okay. By the way, if I do miss your question, don't worry, just put in chat again. I'll try and catch as many as I can. Chris, hey there. How would I make music play when a bunch of enemies attack and end when the last enemy dies? So in games that do this, they normally will have a director sort of class, which is sort of managing the combat and keeping track of things. This could be in the level blueprint, for example, or could be a third, an extra mediatory actor. And if you followed my melee, however you pronounce it, Melee AI series, you see me use a director actor there, and its job is to keep track of who's in the combat, who's still alive, who's still dead, and you using that to check then. And then when that kicks off the combat, play music, and when it detects the last one's dead, you end music. So if you haven't already watched the Melee AI series, check it out. You do see that in work, and yeah. Oh, probably. 8M. I want to add a death montage to my enemy in behavior tree because I tried in blueprint and it crashed. Interesting that it crashes. I don't know why it would crash. For a montage to work, you need to make sure your anim instance or animation blueprint has a slot it can play in. Make sure it's the correct skeleton. And make sure it's got a mesh associated to that skeleton. I mean, that's hard to know without seeing it in action, but it shouldn't have an issue. I don't know why it's crashing. That's just something else going on there. Hi Ryan, how would I have an animation playing but lock the camera to a certain position while animation is playing? Okay, So you can do a couple of things. You can use a level sequencer and set the camera up in there and that stuff. If you want it to use the current camera that you're using, if you want to, on your player controller or with a player controller reference, you can ignore look inputs. Set ignore look inputs. Turn it on, turn it off, and so on. If you want to force the camera into a position rather than changing camera, so using the existing camera but just changing its position, all you have to do is set control rotation on the player controller, because typically your camera, more than likely, guessing by your game, is going to be controlled by the controller rather than this third party hanging over you camera. Otherwise, this, or use a set view target, put a camera in there separately, make it fixed. That's another way you can do it as well. Hey Ryan, how do you instance material parameters on actors in the world without creating a new material instance for each actor? You don't need what? Hang on. How do you instance material parameters on actors in the world without creating a new material for each actor? Okay, I think you may be misunderstanding something there, but okay. I'll show you what you have to do. So we do quick example Matt, and open it up. And in here we're gonna have a color texture parameter. Call it color, and we'll just chuck it into here. I'm not gonna do anything else. That'll do. Weevil is asking. You mentioned about the material parameter collection. So the material parameter collection is best used when you are trying to change the value on all of them. If you just want to change it per actor, as you're saying, you just do this, and then you make an instance of it, which you mentioned you already know about. And then let's make an actor. Add a cube to it, and on this cube I'm going to add our how do I call it? Material, no, example, wasn't it? Example matte instance. Make sure it's instance 1. And then on the construction script here, what I'm going to do is just drag out my cube. And you need to get the dynamic material instance of it. So, so you get the create dynamic material instance node. Plug it in. And your source material here will be the one that you want to be using. If you already set it to the cube, like I have done, you could also do it like this, where you get the material index. Not index, sorry. Get materials, and this one you just want to get the first one right in there, for example, and that'll do. And then you promote that to a variable typically, because you usually want to change it later on. Maybe this will just keep, but then you want to set a vector parameter on it. Set vector parameter, and put in your parameter's name here, color. And the value here I'm going to make random. Oh wait, hang on. Vector. Linear color. Then do this with random. So that's now going to set a random color on this actor. Now, the reason why I said I think you misunderstand it, because you don't need to make an instance for every actor, because this is another actor here. And as you can see, I can drag out another one and it'll have complete different colors than its previous one. Okay, that's because they are using it in instance. A material instance is what it is. It says on the tin. It's an instance of it. It's a copy of it. So they just have a copy of this file here. If you want them all to match the color, then you use a material parameter collection, and that will happen there. But that is all there is really to it. There isn't any issue with creating. You don't have to create a new instance of each actor. You can just set this up like this and set it all up in code. And if you want to make it more customizable, so you can actually change the thing more flexibly. So on here I've done random, but you don't have to do random. I could just promote this to a variable and make that variable editable. But now I can click on each one. I can change what color it uses in its options here, and so on and so forth. But because it has an instance of it, it therefore doesn't affect the other ones because they have their own copies. Okay. Hi Orion, how to load assets in runtime like static mesh, materials, etc. Interesting. So like preload them before you get to the next area. So there isn't really anything like that in blueprint terms, because if I click on this, you'll see. Don't think there is anyway. I don't think they've added it. You'll see in here you can't. There's nothing on here to do with loading assets or anything like that. So you have to do it in C++ or get a plugin for it. Plugin probably be easier, save you a bit of time. But there's no real, like, you can see here, they haven't changed anything. So there's no real special loading stuff. Yeah. You can only check if the level's loaded or get loaded level. You can only do that. You can't actually get individual load assets. Check. Oh, I don't think there is. Yeah, check if you're loading. I don't think so. You can unload them. And you can check if it's loading still. Yeah. Something to think about. But yeah, plugin probably is the best bet for that, I think. Bum 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 bum. Hang on. Where are people? Hang on, I'm losing people. There was one question. What was it? Asmund, hey Ryan, can I use the FPS template for your online session series? Yes, you can. No problem in that. So the online session series is just showing you how to just set up lobbies, ready ups, choose characters, choose maps, pick players, close sessions, things like that. None of it uses the advanced session plugin. It uses all the default stuff. You don't need the advanced sessions to do it. Also to note, because people keep asking me as well, when we've got to the end of that series, which is near the end, I'm going to add some extra bits on how to do it with the Epic Online Services one as well. So instead of using Steam, Epic instead. I think, who was it? I'm trying to find the question. So Laurie Berger, how can you deform a mesh when it gets hit like character armor getting bashed? So what you're talking about there is like soft body physics and deformations. There's no real out of the box solution to this in Unreal. the way you'd have to do that, or ways you can do that, is using decals and normals on it, and or displacement maps. So you can deform it in that way, kind of. Make it appear like it's been dented or scratched or damaged in some kind of way. The actual impact of vertices and things like that, you can also use vertex coloring. So as things get hit, you paint the vertices a certain color, and it will change their offset in a bit. Yeah, so there's no real built-in solution for it. Again, there may be a plugin that'll help you with that. If that's something you want to actually include in your game. Resgul as is. Hey Ryan, I want to build a game with a friend of mine. How to know if I'm setting some unrealistic goals for myself? We have a vision in mind, but if it's too ambitious, what should I expect? If it's your first game, always aim small. Bring it back down to the basics. I mean, a lot of people come to me with like their ideas for a game, and it's their first game. They're learning how to do game development, and they go, "I want to do an Uncharted type game," and I'm like, I have to remind them that Naughty Dog are not only industry veterans, but doing it for years and are top of their class, but they have years to make it and hundreds of people. You're usually just one person making something and learning about it at the same time. So pick something very, very small, very, very short, and usually one main mechanic it has in it, and make a game with just that mechanic. Don't worry about your game being too short or too boring or too anything like that. Just finishing a game is a massive accomplishment in itself. So just pick something small, achievable, and something you can actually do. If you're floating ideas for mechanics that you're not too sure if you know how to do yet, prototype them, test them, see if you can come to solutions right off the bat, rather than developing the rest of the game and getting to that point and going, we don't know how to do this bit, and get stuck on it and then quit. So prototype the things you don't know, see what you can figure out, and if you're happy to continue, then continue. But just try and keep it small, very, very small. Yeah, the first game tutorial is a good example. Like, I always the reason why I always say do the maze game first is, like, not just for YouTube, but when I was teaching students in college as well, I'd get them to do the maze first. Is that when you get to the end of it, you can do so much more with that concept. You can not just level design wise, but you can add more traps, add more keys, add more puzzles, add enemies even. You can keep going on it and just stacking stuff on top of it. So it's a really strong foundation to put stuff on. Yeah, that's why I really like that series and type of game. Asmund, nice. I was following someone else, but he was way too slow. Your series got a perfect balance. Sweet. Good to hear. Vlad, hi Ryan. How do I put real world locations into Unreal Engine? What do you mean? Do you mean like map data? Actual models of buildings and places? There is a plugin. What's it called? It begins with a C. Cesium? I don't know why, but I've got cesium in my head. I don't know if that's correct or not. But there is a plugin that was available for free last year where you can get map data from the world and put that into your game from real world locations. Bear in mind though, cesium, yeah, there you go. So bear in mind though, some buildings have copyright. So yeah. Another thing you can also do, I don't know, I haven't played out with cesium too much, but yeah, you can get if you can find map data, height map data from map websites, download them, and they're your height maps. You can import them into Unreal and make height maps. Not the whole world is available, but quite a large portion of it is. Bartasus 1. Hi Ryan, I'm kind of curious. How could I give a player an ability to control 2 pawns at once? They should respond to environment from 2 worlds that are visible in a split screen, kind of like medium. Okay, so that one's a bit trickier because you can't use a possession system really, because your character is using 2 things. So I'm going to try and show you an example of what you can do. So let's say I've got 2 characters. I've got this one here. Ooh. And I got this one here. Okay, so if I want to control both, I'm going to move this one backwards so we can actually see this one as well. If I want to control both, that in lies the issue, because you can't possess 2 things at once. So auto possess player is 0 on this one, but this one I'm going to turn off and not possess anything. Okay, so if I play this, you'll see I'll just walk around and he's staying still. Oh, this damn thing. So yeah, he just stands still. If I want him to change though, I can edit this class to allow for extra inputs. If I want to be able to turn this off and on in game, which is probably going to be the case, maybe. On begin play here, I'm going to have an variable set up. We'll say this one is controlled by a player, and drag that out. So we've got this boolean here for is controlled by a player, and we'll put this into a branch. And if it's true, we're going to enable input. And this will need the player controller. If it's false, we can just disable input. Yeah. So what enable and disable inputs do, they tell the actor to listen out for inputs from the player controller, as well as the other things. But therein lies another issue. So if I just, hold on. I'll make this thing editable. I don't want it to do it for everything. I don't want to play as the main character. But this one, I'm going to tick that box, which is here, controlled by player. I'll push play now. Notice I can't move. Yeah. So the issue comes in is that your inputs are going to be consumed. So you have to go to these inputs here, like move forward. And if you take to, oh, it's not consuming input. Because we've disabled input. Yep. Hang on. Let's turn it off. Yeah, that's hang on. Test that again. Okay, it's turned off. But he's not enabling inputs. Damn. Hoping that would work. If it doesn't work like that, then what you're going to have to do is do it all from the player controller. So what I mean by that is... no, why... hold on. Has it got consume input turned off or not? Okay, you'll have to do it by a controller. Okay. So in the player controller, you'd have your input set up on here. So move forwards would be on here. And you need your 2 characters. So I'm just going to get all actors. Play. Oh. Get actors. And get the character. And promote that to a variable. And then when I push move forward, I want to get all actors. It's not nice. Yeah, you could do a for loop and go for each one and tell them to move forward, but that seems really bad. For loop that often. Oh, if only enabled input. I guess it doesn't like it working on actors, pawns on characters, only on. Because originally I was thinking you could do like a for each loop like this, but the problem then you have, you're basically doing a for each loop every single tick, which is not nice. Like you get this stuff. Hmm. Hold on. If I went and did get copy. Change this to 1. And then from here we're gonna add movement. I'll add 2 of them to it. Maybe that'll work. But obviously don't do this if you've got like hundreds of them. That ain't gonna work. Instead we'll use this, and the view world direction will get player camera manager. Get the forward vector of that. And the scale value will come. Maybe this. See. There you go. Yay. So that looks like the way you'd have to do is put it into the controller. Yeah. And do that for each one. So move right. Basically the same thing here. Right vector. Now these two move in unison. Looking is a bit tricky. I would imagine maybe. No, let's try it. So look up. So this is going to just add controller rotation yaw to this. So this we need to take this out. Here. Add pitch. Yeah. Hopefully we see the other gun go up as well. Can't tell it's working because obviously when I look up, I don't think it's working. The problem is with add controller pitch, I think that only will work if it's possessed by something. So instead you have to make a whole different thing to allow you to change the rotation manually. Yeah. That's a tricky one. Yeah, so you'd have to change the way the rotation works with the pitch and turning stuff. You can't use add controller rotation pitch or all that stuff. You have to just set the rotation of the actor or camera or case. But that's generally the gist of it. It has to be done on the player controller. How to make a split screen to show 2 cameras at once. So I think I've done this before. It's question time. So you have to make sure you got something set up on here, and I always forget where it is. Yeah, make sure you got use split screen turned on. Yeah, all this stuff. And then in the game, game mode. Never remember that. It is. So I add another player and it does it. Hang on. It's create player. I think that's what it does. Right. Yeah, there you go. So you can add 2 players. Okay. So yeah, you just do create player and it adds a local player. Set to a control ID. If you do -1, it'll just use the next one in the line. So it'll use ID 1. That's why, if you ever wondered, you do get player character, get player index. This refers to this. So 0 is the local player, 1 is the next player that joined it, 2 is the one after that, and so on. And so you only ever use this number here based upon on screen. Okay. Danny Marty. Hi Ryan, thanks so much for your tutorials. I've been following UMG with controller, they are great. Any suggestions to recognise the type of gamepad, show the right icon for Xbox or PlayStation? Not that I'm aware of. Only detect if it's a gamepad or controller. There's no way I mean specific gamepads. Seeing. Because when you think about it, it's not really a problem, because when you're publishing your game to Sony, you're only going to include those icons. If it's Xbox, you can include those icons. I guess the issue is when it's on PC. You can technically use both, but if you're doing on PC, use the Xbox ones. It's more standard for PC controllers. You can always put an option there for accessibility in there in your settings of your game to make it switch to using PlayStation icons if you want. But as far as I'm aware, there's no way to really know which controller you've got plugged in. There is, however, we add here, go to Xbox One controller. No, PlayStation 4 controller. They have like specific buttons. So if you were to say push this button, you can then say, oh, that one, and then it's PS4. If this one was pushed, then you can say, oh, that one, then it's Xbox. But it's not great. I personally would just make an option in the option settings. If I had to change it. Vlad, hi Ryan. Are first-person animations easy to do with anim notifiers for extra function? It's no different from any other animation. First person ones are pretty much the same. If your first person animation is including like the head movement and camera movement and stuff like that, you've got a few things you can do there. You can rig camera to a skeleton and then animate the skeleton to do crazy stuff. If you are going to do it though, make sure you keep the head still most of the time when you're standing still in that game, and it only animates when you're actually animating it. So you could totally do that, a rig that to work like that. Alternatively, it's level sequences like that. There'll be more about level sequences, by the way, next month on Patreon, at least anyway. Because next month the series coming out will be cinematic dialogue. So like Mass Effect, where you've got like two characters talking and or doing actions, then like dialogue wheels will come up and you can choose what option you want to use, and it changes the cutscene to do different things. So more cinematic, more dynamic, and more options like that. We also make it so you can have like conditions for your options. So let's say this dialogue option 3 won't appear unless you've got charisma above 100, whatever. So yeah, that's starting next month. Yeah. Jeremy Berger, if I wanted to recruit people to help me work on a game I'm making, one that I'm serious about, how would I go about finding them? It depends on what you mean by serious. If you're serious, then you should be willing to pay people for the work they do on it. And in that case, then you're looking at ArtStation and other places to get portfolios and finding people there, and you can hire them to do it. Or if you're looking for more like, okay, I want actually someone to work on this with me. I'm of the opinion that you should never do any work for free. So I'd be like, if someone said, "Oh, do you want to join a game? I can't pay you until the XYZ date or whatever, or royalties or whatever," I'll say no to it. Because my time is valuable. I want to make sure that time's being useful. So if it depends on what you mean by serious. Serious means that you're going to pay for them, or serious that you mean intend of finishing it. If it's the latter one, then you're probably looking at other communities, other people in the same sort of situation as you, who's someone who is starting out and wants to get started on something. However, you will find the problem you have with that is a lot of those teams will fall down because one person's in it more than the other. So I would recommend trying to pick someone who's local to you, like a friend or family member, that you can work on it together. And go that route. But that's probably the best thing to do, is make sure you pick someone like that. Otherwise, just make sure you get to know the person a lot beforehand. Make sure they are the same as you in intent and what you want to achieve with it. Yeah, if you want to quit your job and work full time, pay people to work. If you want to pay people to work, then you can find them anywhere. So you'll find artists are available all over the shop. Okay. And you can pay them to do some side hustle work on it. So you'll find a lot of people who are in games industry who are willing to do some side jobs for some extra money. Do that. Programmers, I don't know anyone else but for myself. But people go around, find YouTubers, maybe people on LinkedIn, email them, say like, what are your freelance rates like? Ask them, see how much they will charge for their time. Things like that. The best thing to do is just ask people directly. ASMR, by the way, Ryan, your melee AI tutorial is playlist is in the wrong order. Starts with 5 and 1 is in the middle. You know, I'll change it. Yeah, it's really annoying. YouTube. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Vlad. Hi Ryan. I'm not asking you to demonstrate, but how did they do the body death cam? In Sniper Elite, where you can see X-ray bits of body being exploded from bullet and other gore. So I think I watched a video on this. I believe their system involved layered sort of meshes. So they have like the outer mesh, and then inside that mesh they also have like the blood and guts and things like that, and then maybe a bone as well system as well. And when they turn X-ray on, they show one and hide others. And when you blow bits out of people, you can. It's the same way Mortal Kombat does it. They're like layered, like meshes. So that's one way of doing it. Otherwise, no, that'd be the main way of doing it. Yeah. I think that'd be the only way I can think of doing it. At least that's what I would do. Racing is fun. To lower my draw calls, is there a nice way to not load meshes at a certain distance to player to help with draw calls? So you can use the Cull distance volume. So in the place actors here, you'll find volumes and you'll find Cull distance volume. I always find this confusing, this thing, personally. But you have this volume here. And you can set up the size, shape, etc. And basically, it allows you to cull out and not render bits from a certain distance. And if you go in Cull distances, you'll find you've got two array elements already, 0 and 1. 0 there, 1 there. And from my understanding of it, okay, this basically says the size that the thing is on the screen, so 0 to 1000 here. The Cull distance is how far away will it take for that object to disappear. So, for example, if the size was down to, I don't know, well, let's increase the Cull distance first. So let's do a Cull distance of 1000, okay? And the size here will do of 500, maybe a bit less than that. And put, I can't remember if you have to go around it. It would make sense to, wouldn't it? And I never remember these damn settings. Something like this. Last time I did it was like, I changed the size down to like, I swear size was like percentage of screen. So if I think about those lines, then say 10. Cull distance, anything basically means anything between the size of 0 and 10, it will cull at 10,000 at what that. I have to look at documentation of this again. I cannot remember this setting. Nope, can't remember it. Hang on. Yeah, let's have a look. Documentation, because I can't remember it. But this is what you'd use. Settings. Da, 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 da. Okay, so yeah, I'm changing the wrong one. So this, okay, so you typically want the last one on the list here to be large like this. Okay, and the first one is what you change here. So the size here will do of 200. Let's see. A bit smaller. That 250. How many is it? So the way these settings are described in documentation is that the size here is objects inside the volume that have a size closest to this amount of units, so 50 in this case, will be culled from view when they are 1,000 units away or more from the camera. Whereas if the cull isn't set to 0, it means they'll never be culled, and therefore things that are large will always exist. So if you've got like big buildings in the background you want to keep there, keep them there. But smaller things like these here would disappear after 1,000. But for some reason these ones aren't. Let me just increase the size of this one to cover the whole. Yeah, is it? Let's add another one into it. Cause I'm looking at documentation, they've got another one in here too. Why is that not working? Right, okay, let's increase this size of these. Keyboard. Um. Working. That's the tool, at least. Working. Do I have to? No, that shouldn't have. Right, anyway. Shouldn't affect it. Don't want to do anything. I'll look into it. I don't know why that's not working. It should do something. Because that is the tool. Yeah, I'll look into it. I've got a video of me doing it from about 4 years ago. I'll check it out, see what I did. But that's all I did. I'm moving very far. Never mind. I'll have to look into that one. I don't know why it's not working. Gonna take only a couple more questions because we're out of time. So let's have a quick look. Richard Moore, how could I attach physics asset to another object? Say attach a mannequin to the top of a vehicle, but the mannequin is riding in the vehicle. So I won't go into it too deeply because I've got videos of it coming out at the moment. That's a physics constraint you want. I've used it in a couple of videos before, so check them out. Buckminster, does your online session series cover return to lobby after game finished? It will do, yeah. I'm not at that bit yet, but yes, it will do. It will travel back to the lobby with everyone intact. There we go. Speak tonight. I've only got a few things left to do on it. So last thing I did was kicking players from the lobby. Next one's going to be kicking players from the game, and then it'd be that into game lobby. Hey Ryan, could you explain custom depth for post-processing? Sure, Sunny Dev. This will be the last question, unfortunately, as we are running out of time. Oh, hello. Sure, we're going to custom depth. First of all, though, you have to understand what scene depth is. So, scene depth. Let's get rid of the. Oh, I just realised the. I think I know the reason why this thing won't work. The cold distance volume. I think it only works in game. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it has to be in game for it to see it working. But yes, there you go. See, it's cold the walls out. But there you go. That's yeah. Okay. So that's why that don't work. So I'll remove that. Oh, it's going dead. There you go. So yeah, let's get rid of this thing, and I'm gonna tell the game not to do split screen. Okay, and that'll do. So what we need to do then is custom depth. So yeah, so scene depth is the first thing you need to understand how that works. So if I go into here and go to buffer visualizations, you can see the scene depth. Scene depth is used by the renderer to know what objects are in front of other objects. Scene depth. So the closer an object is to you, the darker it will appear. The further away it will appear is white. The reason why the sky looks the way it does is because it is very, very, very far away. And you're seeing basically this gradient of black to white over and over and over again as it tries to calculate large values. But generally, the darker the value is, the closer it is to the camera. Okay, so you can see how scene depth is working here. Okay. So that's scene depth, and what these values actually are, it's not 0 to 1. They are actually how far it is in the depth for the level. So let's say, for example, make a material process here. Example. And I'll put a post-process volume in there. And we'll make it unbound. And I'll take this back now to and go into my example here. And I'm going to change it from surface to post-process. And here we're going to add the scene color. And not scene color, scene texture, sorry. Those two. Texture. And on the drop down over here, we're going to choose post-process input 0. Which is like the world as you normally see it. Nothing different. As the world is seen. Then we're going to get another one of these. And this one is going to be this scene depth. As I said, we'll do scene depth first, then we'll do custom depth. Basically the same thing. So scene depth will go into here. Okay. And what we're going to do is we'll do a lerp. Oh no, we'll do an if. Sorry, we'll do an if. Easier to see with an if. So if the color is sorry, if the scene depth, sorry, color. The color here for the scene depth, we're going to mask and just look at one aspect of it. Get the R value. That will go into A. The B value, which I can put down here, I'm going to put as 1,000. And then we'll put in our constants. So 0 is going to be anything greater than B, which anything over 1,000, anything below 1,000 is going to be equal to 1. So we're going to have a lerp now. So linear interpolate. That'll be the alpha. B is going to be our post-process input 0. And A is going to be, we'll just make the color white. Oh wait, this needs to be a 4. Hang on. I'll make this color white. There you go. So hit I. So what we'll see in this one is it'll go up to it'll look normal for 1,000 units, and then after that it'll go all white. So if you want to do like Silent Hill stuff on this is sort of similar how you do this. Asset reference. Okay. Now you see everything after 1,000 is now white, and anything below that is normal. Okay. And you can then use this to work out like, okay, how you can actually lerp it rather than have a hard cutoff. How can you like fog it? So to fog it, rather than use an if, you take this value and you divide it. And we're going to divide it by high number. So let's say, let's put it in 1,000, okay? That means then anything below 1,000 is going to be closer to 0, and anything above 1,000 is going to be over 1. So we're then going to take this value and clamp it. And this will be the alpha of this. And then these two will be the other way around. So that will go there, there. And this will get you a fog effect. Up to 1,000 units away then before it goes too thick. Okay. So you get that sort of nice, hazy, heavenly fog. Using post-processing. So custom depth then, if you want something to only appear in custom depth, so let's say for example I click on this wall piece here, and over here I'm going to render in custom depth. Custom depth is a separate layer where you can put it. So if I go now to lit here, off of visualization, and rather than use scene depth I use custom depth. This thing will be the only one on its own. help actually if I disabled the post-processing. Okay, as you can see, it's all on its own, sort of filtered out from the rest of it. So there's that. Okay, and therefore on my post-processing thing here, rather than using this thing here, I could then use the custom depth as a tool to isolate it from the rest of it. So let's say, for example, I want this thing to be the one that thing that glows. Okay, so if I took this and copied this, and on here we'll change this to custom depth there, and let's say take this and we divide it by we have to mask it first. Just an R or G or B, doesn't really matter which one you use. So you divide that by, let's say, I don't know, let's say 2000, okay, and we'll put that into the lerp instead. Now anything, oh sorry, I have to clamp it again, whoops, clamp, put that in there. So what I want this to do is I want it to highlight this piece out from the rest of it if it is over a certain distance away. So if it is over, so let's say this thing is like 1,000 units away, that means this will now clamp in between 0 and 1 range. Not clamp, sorry, if that. Yeah. That's it. So yeah, we'll use if. So if it is greater than 1,000 units away, it'll use 0. If it is less than 1,000 units away, it'll use 1. And I'll just put that into my lerp here. And less than that, yep, we'll use the white here. Or I can use any color. Change the color actually. Orange, there you go. Change that back to lit. Enable the process again. Okay, so this thing is now only going to show that thing highlighted when I'm a certain range, but as you see, it's isolating it from the rest of it. 'Cause it's the only thing that in that render channel works. But the thing to remember when it comes to all the depth channels is that the number you're getting out of it is the distance it is away from the camera. So that divide is, you think about the divide as dividing its distance away from that. Okay, there you go. That's how you do like highlighting things if you want to highlight certain things. But it's also sort of like change the way it renders as well, because it is on a separate layer. It's rendering this orange on a separate layer. You could also add this to the post process you got going on here. So if we do like add this one, plug that into then you can now see, like, bad example because you can't see the texture, no texture to show on it, but you can see the texture underneath it. It will like highlight the object itself. But yeah, and because it is using a 4-channel one, you can also change the see-throughness of it as well, so you can painter as old. But custom depth is a really cool thing to use. There's also stencils as well. Stencils are something a bit different. They're basically how you can have multiple custom depths. all doing different things. So yeah, and that's it really. Got some depth. Team depth altogether. As I said, that's the last question of today's live stream. Thank you again to everyone joining me live, and thank you to everyone who has supported me over on Patreon and YouTube members. Remember, if you want to watch the JRPG series, that has started now over on Patreon and YouTube members as well. And next month, you'll see, as we're going into, sorry, not next month, in this month's asset flip will be coming out hopefully tomorrow. It's all filmed, I just need to edit it and put it all together. It's been a bit delayed, unfortunately, but it is coming out tomorrow, if not definitely Friday. Yeah, it's an interesting one. Really difficult month, this one. As we've got a load of like level assets, not really useful stuff beyond that. But I tried to do something a bit different with it, so hopefully you get to see that. But other than that, thank you very much for joining me live. We're here again next week, Wednesday, again doing question time, and hopefully live again on Saturday as well. Thanks again for watching me live and joining us and asking your questions, and I'm off to bed now, so see you later, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Bye everyone.